everybody, and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to my latest episode of New Music Weekly. This is the show where I give you guys the top 5 prog headlines for the week, give you guys some new prog singles to listen to, and give you updates on the channel and what's happening here on Nathan on Shuffle. So it's August 25th, 2023, and I have some interesting items. I thought it was going to be a bit of a slow week, but a couple things have come in at the last minute here that I'm really excited to talk about. I usually like to start the prog headlines with the new releases for the week, which this week there weren't really many to discuss, so I'm somewhat skipping that, but I did want to mention Unitopia's new album, Seven Chambers, an incredible Australian prog band who broke up quite a few years back, but have reformed for this new album, and I'm hearing a lot of good buzz about it. The release date is a little bit nebulous because the CDs and the vinyls are coming at different times because of production situations and whatnot, so it's hard to really determine what the actual release date is. I was told that it was today for the digital release on Bandcamp, which might be the case, but I know there was some confusion about what dates. But for those who've pre-ordered their CDs and vinyl, I believe they're sending out digital codes through emails, so if you want to listen to the album, that's one way to do it, to buy a physical version and hopefully be sent a digital code, but it also may be up on their Bandcamp now. So something to go check out if you're a fan of Unitopia. Great prog band, really cool stuff that I'm certain to talk about on the channel and review soon. So just want to point your attention towards that. But let's get into the prog headlines proper. First, with Pattern Seeking Animals announcing their new album, Spooky Action at a Distance, and a first single as well, which is really fun to listen to and will definitely be on the singles list. The single's called Window to the World. The album Spooky Action at a Distance is coming out on Inside Out on October 27th, and it's more of the energetic, high-octane music that you're used to from the band. This is, of course, formed from a lot of members of Spock's Beard and related. We've got John Baghold, who's basically at the helm, the big writer of all of this stuff, and plays keyboards on the album. We also got Ted Leonard on vocals and guitars. We've got Jimmy Keegan on drums and Dave Maros on bass. So an incredible lineup of great musicians. This is their 4th release. Their first 3 were all really great, and I feel like they just get better with each successive release. So I'm really excited about this one and see what they have on offer. So it's available now to pre-order in different formats, limited 2 CD digipack, the digital album, of course, and a 2 LP gatefold vinyl, 180 grams. So the CD and the digital album include a few bonus tracks, some live bonus tracks from Prog Stock 2022, so that should be cool to check out those. And it just seems like it's going to be another eclectic, cool album from the group, a different approach this time in production and sound and lyrics. According to the band, they recorded, mixed, and mastered this at a different studio with a different engineer than their previous releases, so they're really trying to cover some new ground and do some interesting, exciting, different musical things, and I think it should be a fun listen for anyone who likes the same style, fun prog that I like, so that should be a cool one. Item number 2, a new DiVirgilio, Morse and Jennings album is announced. It's going to be called Sophomore. This features 3 titans of progressive rock, 3 of my favorite musicians. Nick DiVirgilio, who drums for Big Big Train, previously drummed for Spock's Beard and a whole host of different projects. Neil Morse, one of my favorite artists of all time, very prolific in a solo career and in his early Spock's Beard days as well, now with the Neil Morse Band. And then we've got Ross Jennings from Haken and Novena, an incredible lead singer for those groups. Haken, of course, is one of my favorite modern prog metal groups, and they come together as a trio to perform this country folk style albums that are really fun to listen to. Singer-songwriter, really great 3-part Crosby, Stills and Nash style vocal harmonies. So they put the prog a little bit at the door and do something a little bit different in a more singer-songwriter folk style vein, and it's really great. Really sounds fun, and I'm really happy that they're doing a second album. Their first one, Troika, was a real delight. So this one's coming out November 10th, 2023. So something to look forward to as well on the schedule. Certainly something I'll cover on the channel, even though it's not full-on prog. It still involves prog musicians, and I feel is related enough to talk about here. And I just like to talk about good music. It doesn't really have to be labeled prog necessarily, even though that tends to be my typically favorite genre. You can pre-save their first single, Anywhere the Wind Blows, which will be coming out September 8th, it sounds like. Definitely one that will be featured on my list of songs in the next couple weeks, I'm sure, in my prog singles list for the show. So that should be fun. Sounds like the band recorded a lot of these tracks in January of this year. They bantered around with a bunch of different ideas and chose 10 tracks to record. They said they weren't as fleshed out as they were last time, so they were able to really embellish these and bring their collaboration as a group. They even were able to get together in person, I believe, for part of the promotional materials and just to discuss the album, I'm sure. Last time on Troika, it was all they were all distanced apart and didn't really come together in person to work on it in any fashion. So should be really cool. The band is really excited about it, so I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a fun release. It's definitely going to be one of Jana's favorite albums of the year. She loves Troika. It's one of her favorites. And I'm excited to share it with her and to share it with all of you. So that should be a fun release to look forward to. This was interesting to me. Item number 3, I saw there's a Yes singles collection that's being released on vinyl in October called Yes Singles. Featuring single versions of some of the band's biggest hits. It's going to be released on 140-gram vinyl through Rhino Records on October 6th. I believe there's a radio edit version of And You and I that's available digitally on streaming services, so that should be an interesting one to check out. I know there's a lot of interesting commentary about this one, especially from diehard Yes fans, diehard Prog fans, like what's the need for something like this, because, you know, most Yes fans I don't think are in it for the singles. You know, you're in it for the long form albums and the big epics and all of the cool stuff that they're able to accomplish there. So to make these little single version edits of all these songs is a little bit weird for the typical Yes fan, I think. But, you know, it could be a cool way to repackage their music, I suppose, and to give a different, interesting track list that you may not expect to put together. So something I know my wife will enjoy. You know, she's been a big fan of some of the more single type Yes tracks, but it is kind of a bizarre track listing, to be honest, missing some key things that you would have expected to be on a Yes singles type album. There might be some cases where there could be, you know, certain rights issues of who has the rights to what songs, you know, and maybe there's certain tracks, especially from some of their more recent albums, that don't have the approval to be on a compilation like this. So, but we've got Your Move, Starship Trooper, of course, from the Yes album on there. Roundabout, of course, has to be on there. America, their cover, their Simon and Garfunkel cover is on there. And You and I, like I said, a single version, and Soon, a single version. A single edit of Sound Chaser, which I find interesting, since that's such an eclectic, proggy piece. It doesn't really lend itself, in my mind, to a single, but Wander Stories, of course, is on there. Don't Kill the Whale, Into the Lens from Drama, Owner of a Lonely Heart, and Leave It. So a pretty good smattering of singles and stuff from their catalog. Notably absent are stuff from their earlier albums, from 1969's debut album and Time and a Word. You would have thought maybe to expect Sweetness or Looking Around or Sweet Dreams, which were some early singles of theirs. And then, you know, it's missing some Big Generator stuff, which seems like it could have been included because it's on the same label as, I believe, some of their other earlier albums. So on the Atco label, in fact. So It Can Happen isn't there from 90125. Rhythm of Love and Love Will Find a Way from Big Generator. So just an interesting group of omissions, and, you know, a lot of commentary about what this is and is it even necessary. And of course it doesn't include any of their more recent singles from Talk moving forward to nowadays. But like I said, I don't think those are on the correct label to be able to be included anyways. So, but I just thought it was interesting, so I wanted to mention it as one of the headlines. Number 4 on the headlines list, Ozric Tentacles announced brand new album Lotus Unfolding. These are UK space proggers that have been around for quite a while. This is coming out on K-Scope Records on October 20th. Should be fun. Their 16th album following their 2020 release Space for Earth. It was conceived, written, and recorded in their own Blue Bubble studio in Fife. Should be a cool concept, wide and open to interpretation, sonically illustrated excursion through some of the musical realms that they found themselves in this time, is what Edwin talks about in preparation for this release. So it should be cool. They have a little tour as well. Should be fun to pick up this record and see what it's all about. Available on CD Digipack, limited edition marble vinyl with a limited die-cut sleeve, blue vinyl, also with limited die-cut sleeve, black vinyl, and digitally as well. So definitely a cool one. And then a short hit, more of like a preview of an announcement, I suppose. I talked a little bit about it last week, but Steven Wilson has been slowly teasing stuff about his new upcoming album, which seems to be a really exciting project. He's given some advanced listenings to many different crowds in different parts of the world, and it seems like it has a positive response. It's going to be called the Harmony Codex. And it seems like we're going to probably get the first track from it based on some of the teasers that I saw today. Economies of Scale should be out next Tuesday, the first single from the album, and hopefully some pre-order information. It seems the album's going to be coming out in about a month's time at the end of September, so one to look forward to certainly, and definitely one to be talked about on the channel. Really excited. That's probably the biggest, most anticipated prog release that's coming up in the near future, so definitely on top of mind for me and for what I cover. Prog singles, there's a cool list of prog singles as well. I encourage you guys to check it out. I put the links to all these in the description. Of course, we have that Pattern Seeking Animals single, Window to the World, which is a cool poppier single with some almost reggae influences to it. Really interesting and unique track that I think a lot of you will enjoy. I have Vola's track Paper Wolf. This is a Danish-Swedish progressive metal quartet. This is a more heavier edge song, but it's a really cool track that showcases their ability to add some heaviness to some pretty catchy hooks and some really cool music. So definitely one to check out. It seems like they are setting off to a North American tour with Bent Knee and Wheel in a few short weeks. So should be an awesome tour, a great lineup of bands there. I also have Beatrix Players and their track Start Again. This is their first track, I believe, from their upcoming album Living and Alive on September 22nd. So really beautiful track. Focuses a lot on some almost classical instrumentation, some great stuff going on there, some great vocals. So it's a really beautiful track, definitely worth looking at and checking out. I also have Fish on Friday and their track Overture to Flame and Flame, which apparently is a cover track from 1977's band Metro, a UK glam art rock band. So the first cover, I believe, from Fish on Friday, but it comes on the heels of them announcing their new album 8mm through Cherry Red on October 27th. So another cool album to look forward to. Nick Beggs is the bassist in this group, who's played with Steven Wilson also. You've also got drummer Marcus Waymare, keyboardist and vocalist and guitarist Frank Van Bogart, and guitarist Marty Townsend in the group lineup. So should be a cool thing to check out, and I was really enjoying the cover track that they put out, so really fun. And speaking of cover tracks, if this is considered a cover as well, I put on the list Roger Waters' interpretation of Time from his upcoming Dark Side of the Moon Redux album, which is getting a little bit of mixed responses, maybe. I like this one a whole lot better than the Money song that he came out with, you know, the cover of Money from Dark Side of the Moon, which I didn't think fit this style quite as well, but I think this works a little better. Roger Waters is reimagining Dark Side of the Moon in his own way. There's a lot of spoken word type stuff, and it's a lot more laid back, but it's a fun little listen, I think, for fans of Dark Side of the Moon, and interesting to see what Roger Waters is doing with it. So something I wanted to put on the list to check out in case you're interested. So those are the prog singles, all really interesting and ones I definitely encourage you to check out. As for the channel and what's going on here, a fun week, I thought. I did a Classic Albums 101 episode about Kate Bush with Jana on last Sunday. That was fun. We talked about the album. We did a little bit of a reaction to the title track from Hounds of Love, and it was a really good time. So please check that one out. Also this week I did an album review of the Fierce and the Dead's album, News from the Invisible World, which I thought was a really stellar album, a little bit heavier, a little bit grungier, but has some cool prog flourishes, and in addition of a vocalist to the group when they'd previously been an instrumental band. So really fun listen. Not as many eyes saw that video, but that's okay. For those that did, I hope they found a cool recommendation and something to enjoy. And I did a vinyl haul video yesterday that was a lot of fun. All the vinyl that I've received from April to August of this year. It's been a fun time. A lot of great stuff. Some birthday items that my wife got me and that I splurged on. Really fun stuff to talk through, and some great comments that I've gotten. So thank you guys for your support on that one. And coming up this week, we'll have another Prog Song Sunday, of course, with Jana. That should be a lot of fun. I'm going to do a review of United Progressive Fraternity and their album that came out a little while ago, so that should be fun. A big sprawling double disc set that has a lot of material, a lot of stuff to talk about there. And I'm going to be doing a top 5 Australian prog bands, because there's a lot of Australian prog coming out recently, and I thought it'd be fun to focus a top 5 over that. So should be fun. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content that's coming. As I usually tease, there's a lot of great albums that I'm going to be talking about that I'm excited for, that I think many of you will like as well. So please stay tuned for all of the new album spotlights that I'm doing, and for the news weekly, for you to keep up to date with all that's happening in the world of prog. So thank you guys for your support, and I hope you guys will stick around on the channel. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. It helps support me, and it helps me to know that what I'm doing is landing with people, and that it's worthwhile to keep going with this project that I've taken on. So thank you guys so much, and I'll hopefully catch you guys in a future episode. Enjoy the music, everybody!